Good Sunday morning to everyone. After several days of rain and fog and all kinds of good weather, not so good for walking and streaming, we got a beautiful blue sky, sunny summer Sunday today. So we're here on my favorite street, Massachusetts Avenue, at the intersection with S Street. We're going to take a look at the Kalorama area, part of the Kalorama area of Washington, D.C. So if you're traveling to Washington, D.C., make sure you check out all the monuments and the memorials and the major attractions. But not too far from the National Mall are beautiful residential areas, including this historic residential area that is now home to many of the foreign missions located here in Washington, D.C. So we're starting at the corner of S and Massachusetts Avenue. This is the Embassy of Chad. This one is hard to photograph. It's obscured by trees. There's some interesting ironwork around the windows. Hard to see. Sorry, there's a dog freaking out up the street up there. Hope y'all can't hear that. Dog wants to go one place, owner wants to go in a different direction, and they're having a fight about it. But this is the Embassy of Chad. Whew. Not a very quiet summer Sunday morning for sure. Across the way, the Embassy of Cote d'Ivoire. Good morning, another space nut. This is one of those embassies on the elephant tour. There are several embassies that have sculptures of elephants in the front yard. We're gonna cross over this street another time. I'm gonna stick on this side of the road this time. Looking back east, there are several embassies on either side of the street, some of which we have visited. So we did a tour of 2 blocks down when we looked at every single residence on that block. But we're gonna go this way today. So we're heading, hello W. Ray. So we're heading west on Massachusetts Avenue today. So we just passed, again, another look at the Embassy of Chad. And across the way, you can get a peek at that elephant over there. You can get a peek at that elephant at the Embassy of the Cote d'Ivoire, Republic of Cote d'Ivoire. Here, this building here recently underwent renovation. So as I've been filming the Hi W. Ray, here it is 7:18 Eastern Time. I know it is early. The Embassy of Zambia. When I started filming all of the embassies, and I have completed all of the embassies with an asterisk, because some embassies were under renovation, in the process of moving. Some countries get kicked out of the United States from time to time. So it's an ever-changing list. When I began the embassy's project, this facility was under renovation. So the Embassy of Zambia had moved to a temporary location, and now they're back. So I also did another little short to show that the renovation is complete. And I think this is one of the buildings I want to do a dedicated video on, because it's quite beautiful. It really is. You can see modest ornamentation. You can certainly see a combination of a historic structure with some modern additions here. So I'd like to do a little more research. But this is the Embassy of Zambia. And across the way, we'll get some peeks, back and forth across across the street. So I believe this is part of the Embassy of Mexico. Mexico has so many, as you can imagine, different facilities in the United States. And the woman down the way who was fighting with her dog is now coming back this way. I was trying to avoid her earlier because this dog is just moaning. But you'll get to hear him. You'll get to hear him soon enough. Good morning, everyone. And over here, I'm trying to talk above this dog. Good Lord, lady. Yeah, now they got like security officers are coming out to see what the heck is going on. We're walking west on Massachusetts Avenue. And here is, okay, let me see if I can remember this one, because I can't really see the sign. It is the Marshall Islands. So this is the embassy. This is the Embassy of the Marshall Islands. And you're hearing our dog friend across the way who just won't shush up. Good morning. Well, if you're a dog person, I'm sure this is pleasant. This one, rather small. Embassy of the Marshall Islands. Jeez Louise. So sorry for the audio here. I've been listening to this dog since before I started streaming. Across the way here is the Embassy of Korea. And some really interesting artwork in front of the entranceway there. A beautiful sculpture. I mean, that is just obnoxious. I think this woman enjoys the fact that her dog just keeps wailing. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about this dog because this is about a walking tour of a beautiful neighborhood in Washington, D.C. This is the Kalorama area of Washington, D.C. But this is the Embassy of Korea with that beautiful sculpture in front. And over here, back on the north side of the street, I believe this one has changed hands a few times. And now this is a residence or a former residence of the ambassador from Venezuela. And you'll actually see that here on the sign. Embassy of Venezuela residence. There's a lot of mail in the mailbox. So I'm not sure if this one is actually in use or not. No flag flying. But a really interesting residence. I believe this used to be an embassy of one of those countries that is no longer welcome in the United States. And I don't remember which one. So we'll do some research on this one too. Not one that I've researched just because I'm not really impressed with the architecture here. And there are so many others that are just beautiful. And another look back at the Embassy of Korea. I was hoping to get just a little breeze today would be nice for the flags, but that's okay. So the flag of South Korea there, as we say South Korea. I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing that dog all day long. So in addition to today's walking tour, I wanted to chat a little bit about some projects I'm working on. This channel is my research log. So thank you for joining me as I research history and architecture and all kinds of other things in and around Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. I have completed an initial look at all of the embassies and foreign missions around Washington, D.C., and I'm working on a summary view for that. It's going to take a while. In addition, I'm working on some individual videos. I completed the video of the Embassy of Australia, the kind of architectural one-place study of the Embassy of Australia. The next one is the Embassy of Indonesia, and I was very fortunate to be able to go inside the grounds of the Embassy of Indonesia. So I'm working on that now. And then a couple of other little more fun projects, kind of a completist journey for a couple of topics. The C&O Canal, I've hiked about half of it. And so I want to document each mile marker along the C&O Canal. Now here's one that's not so interesting. Well, let's first look at this lovely building, which is interesting. So this is 2500 Massachusetts Avenue. This is not an embassy. It is magnificent. I've done a little short on this one. Hi, Mick or Mike, and hello, Anarchy Television. Thank you for joining. This is just a beautiful building. And we'll head up here and we'll be getting a glimpse of part of the Embassy of Japan in just a minute. So the next completist journey is kind of a boring one, but sometimes being a completist or a completionist, I use the word completist, is that you have to force yourself to go through the boring stuff to say you've completed. So it's metro stations on the Washington, D.C. Metro. Compared to the underground system in London or Le Metro in France, I don't mean to offend anyone, but our metro stations are boring. They are brutalist, which is okay. That's a style. But they're absolutely boring. But I'm going to do it. And maybe along the way we'll find one or two that are interesting. Dunno. So one last look back at the Embassy of South Korea. You can get the entire building in frame. This beautiful non-foreign mission building here at 2500. And now we're coming up to part of the complex for Japan. Now the nations that we have close ties with, lots of business, larger nations are going to have more than one facility in their foreign mission. Japan is one of those. They have a relatively large complex here for Massachusetts Avenue and another complex up close to American University. So I am going to cross the street here because this is really interesting. We'll do a little zig and zagging. And you'll see the several facilities here that are just one part of the Embassy of Japan. So this small building is what used to be the consular section, visas and passports. But now visitors move over here to this larger building. Now this is one of those buildings that always has a police presence, which is awesome. This is the sister facility here up in Northwest is the only facility I've ever been asked to stop filming at. And I did, of course. So if this gentleman asked me to stop filming, I certainly will. This is one beautiful piece of the Embassy of Japan. And I think we'll do a video on the entire complex of the Embassy of Japan buildings because I don't know exactly which buildings are which. I don't believe this is a residence. It certainly looks like one. It's beautiful though. Absolutely beautiful. Wish we had just a little breeze to catch that beautiful flag of Japan. The concrete work, the stone, along with those green shutters, I think make for a magnificent look. Oh, there's a shutter missing. There's a shutter missing over there on the top right-hand side. Get that shutter fixed. So if this gentleman asks me to stop filming, I will certainly move along. Now this one here, this is not an embassy. This is on my list of dream homes. This beautiful one here. I like a driveway. I like a covered entranceway. Hi, Alfonso. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hi, Justin. Good morning. Good morning. I mean, this is one of those days you get the beautiful sun cooperating, and it makes for a great walking tour. I'm walking west from S Street and Massachusetts Avenue, west on Massachusetts Avenue. This is just a small, very small portion of the embassies here in this area. I've done prior videos. You could walk here for hours and hours, but we're just going to do a small section. The building I'm looking at right now is the Embassy of, I believe it's Lesotho. Yes, this is the Embassy of Lesotho here. We'll cross back over. And then we'll get a view here of kind of the main part of the Embassy of Japan. I am not, like I said, I'm not going to film for too long because at the other facility I was asked not to video. It's the only time it's ever happened to me in Washington, D.C., where I've been asked not to film. And we respect all of those requests. So I'll wave at the gentleman or lady and see if I can continue to film. The facility that's up in Northwest, kind of near American University, is behind huge gates. It's a really big facility. It has a trade liaison office, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously reflecting the amount of business and relations that we have with Japan. Good morning. And there's the entrance and that beautiful sun motif above the entranceway. The flag. Very minimalist gardens here. Really interesting driveway. Space Knot, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Interesting people are everywhere. Why, is there someone I should boot out of here? I don't know. Everyone looks okay so far. I like brutalism, to be fair. I like it because it offers variety, right? It adds to the variety of the styles we see. I understand the utility, and there are some that are done very, very well. So I'm with you. I don't enjoy like entire complexes of brutalism, except if it was done for a purpose, right? So like the Barbican in London is the, you know, the stereotypical or the flagship example of brutalism in a large complex. A huge complex of office buildings, one after another in brutalism fashion, I would not like. Downtown, when we looked at Independence Avenue, and we looked at, for example, the headquarters of the Department of Energy next to, or maybe a block or two down from the headquarters of the Department of Health and Human Services. But in between is some traditional architecture and some 1920s architecture. So I think when it's mixed, it lends, you know, kind of that variety. Now we're continuing west on Massachusetts Avenue. This is the Embassy of Turkey. And this is a rather large complex here. Did I see Cumbernauld? No, but I did write it down. Another space nut. I did write it down. So I'm going to look that up. Well, anarchy, because we're still relatively new as a nation, the cool thing is we do have a mix. There's not much of our own, quote, American architecture that we have. I think we can claim like arts and crafts, the Frank Lloyd Wright style as our own, maybe. I mean, but it's very influenced by stick, whatever they call it over there. So there's a lot of influences from around the world here. And I mean, there's no place better than to see it here on Massachusetts Avenue. The buildings we see here that are very traditional, there are a number of mansions that were built during the Gilded Age. And what came after the Gilded Age was the Great Depression. And so the families that vacated those mansions, some of them were taken over by foreign missions, thankfully, because that helped to save that beautiful architecture. Some of them are gone, but the ones that were saved, it's a great story of historic preservation, that following something like the Great Depression, there's a great story here. You know, foreign missions then moved in to improve relations or create relationships with the United States. And many of them moved into those mansions. Now, this is not one of them. This is not one of those beautiful Gilded Age mansions. This is a relatively new complex. And I just mentioned, like, and this is a weird style. This is a mishmash of styles. And I just mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright. There's a tiny bit of arts and crafts influence here. This is 2525 Massachusetts Avenue, the Embassy of Turkey. Now, I wasn't planning the elephant tour today because we really didn't get a close look at the Embassy of Cote d'Ivoire, but we are coming up to part of the Embassy of India and some more elephants. So as soon as the sun allows me, I'm gonna turn my camera as soon as I get in the shade. Okay, so now that I'm in the shade, this is part of the Embassy of India. The Embassy of India encompasses several buildings in different places around Washington, D.C. This building, the sign says this is the consular and visa, passport and visa section. But you can see elephants. We have elephants. And we can get right up. This is one we can get right up to the door. Check out those elephants. And you can see the artwork around this relatively plain embassy. This embassy does certainly look like, what do you call it? You know, an office estate. You know, a building from an office estate, or an office complex, a building, what do we call it? Like a tech park. Maybe a public school in the United States. Like, this is really plain. This isn't even brutalist. This is just plain architecture. But what this embassy did was add some motifs between the windows to jazz it up. Put a few elephants to guard the front door, which is pretty cool. Add a beautiful plaque above the door. That's the way to do it. That's the way to take, a relatively boring building. Also the wrought iron work around the grates of the door. Yeah, industrio-functionalism. Love that. Love that. And then we have the flag of India here. So this is the way to do it. If you've got a boring space, and again, this is not the main Embassy of India. This is just part of the Embassy of India here on Mass Ave. And we're getting another look here. Beautiful thing about Washington, D.C., all the green space is absolutely fantastic. It does get in the way of taking photos and video sometimes. And you can see, if you can see beyond the gate there, a statue of Ataturk. I have to count all the statues of Ataturk in Washington, D.C. There's quite a few. There's definitely quite a few. Davy verse, hey. So hi, BR. No, we don't forget the homeless. There are homeless in every city that I visit. And We hope that they're getting the support that they need, for sure. Now across the way here, we're gonna cross back over the crisscrossing. No, we won't cross here. Probably not safe. This is the Embassy of Belize. Here, this very small facility with a tree. I mean, again, the green space is fantastic, but it gets in the way of filming. But this relatively modern facility here, small, and the size of the embassies reflect the size of the countries at time. Hi, Aharon. This is Washington, D.C. We are in Washington, D.C. Whoops. Walking west on Massachusetts Avenue, checking out the architecture. And we're going to cross over and head our way up into the Kalorama area. So thank you for joining. I do walking tours as often as I can on beautiful sunny days like today. It is such a beautiful sunny day. This obviously is a mosque. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful construction and quite a popular place. So I mentioned some of the other completist journeys I'm working on. The DC Metro stations, kind of boring. But these little puppies, this one does not have an art installation in it, but a number of the old police and fire call boxes around Washington, D.C. have art installations in them, and we'll see several of those today. This one doesn't, but we'll see several of those today. If I were to continue west on Massachusetts Avenue, just across the bridge there, that's the Rock Creek Bridge, we would then hit the embassies of Italy, Brazil, United Kingdom, South Africa, and we've come down that path before. So in a prior live stream, we covered the embassies up there. Embassy of New Zealand, also beautiful. I'm sorry, I keep saying Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka's on the elephant tour as well. There used to be an elephant in front of the Embassy of Sri Lanka. It's no longer there. And we covered that on a live stream. But we'll take one last look at this beautiful mosque and we'll head up Belmont Road. And here's another look back at the Embassy of Belize. And that's quite an interesting flag. At the Embassy of Belize. I'm the elephant. Well, elephants have incredible brains, so thank you for that, Dubai. Thank you for that. You should check out the music. So BR, if you're talking about go-go, those who are interested in history of Washington, D.C. have to understand go-go music and that whole sound. So I'll assume you're talking about that, which is like home-brewed Washington, D.C. sound back in the 80s. It's still alive today, but that go-go sound is fantastic. Hey, Davyverse, we do have an embassy of China here in Washington, D.C. It's up in Northwest off of Connecticut Avenue in a purpose-built industrial-like complex for embassies. I've covered it. It's probably my least favorite kind of embassy because all of those buildings are purpose-built. They're not inhabiting these beautiful Gilded Age structures here. But yeah, it's kind of impressive. They're all impressive in that area. The Embassy of Oman is way hidden behind this gate, and there's no way to see the building. We are in the valley We're in the Rock Creek Valley right now. I mentioned the bridge, which is that way. So Rock Creek, obviously, cut a valley in this area. And so the facilities that are down in the valley, we really can't see. And because it's a park, protected, we do appreciate all the green space, but it means we can't get a photo of that building. But we can take a picture of the flag. So this is the flag and the entrance to the Embassy of Oman. We will, though, get a peek at one of those call boxes up here. Yes, the Embassy of Jamaica is on, I think it's New Hampshire Avenue. It's on New Hampshire Avenue. I think it's either New Hampshire or Connecticut. I think it's New Hampshire, just north of DuPont Circle. And I've made a short about every single embassy in Washington, D.C. So Michael, check that out. Search for my short on the Embassy of Jamaica. And this one too is missing the art installation. Either it never had one. I think it did because of the blocks that you see. Yeah. So we're going to find one with an art installation. We certainly are going to find one with an art installation today on our journey. Now, I'm not going to film the other part of the Embassy of Oman because of the Secret Service agents on this corner. I'll let you guess why there are Secret Service agents on this corner. And I will comment no further about who lives right around the block here. We'll just be very quiet. Add my own Davy verse. I have no artistic talent. Thank you for your confidence in me. Oh man, Oman. Oh Abe, you're awesome. Would like to see the Israeli embassy that didn't let Pollard gain. So the Israeli embassy is also up in that purpose-built complex close to the Embassy of China. And I'm sorry to say, like, all those buildings there are just rather boring. I'm sorry, they are. This pseudo Tudor style. This is the Embassy of Guyana. And this is characteristic of this neighborhood. So we're just a block up from busy Massachusetts Avenue, and now we're in a quiet, beautiful neighborhood. That neighborhood I would like to live in someday. And this is the Embassy of Guyana, right here. So we'll see several embassies and residences. Here, we'll go up to Kalorama Circle. And then after I end this stream in a little while, I'm gonna come back here and use my big girl camera and take some better photos. So we're on Tracy Place. It does look very British. It's like pseudo Tudor, if that's a word. Pseudo Tudor. Let's see if there's some artwork in this call box. I'm a little discouraged. We're not finding. Nope. I'm quite discouraged. We're actually usually finding artwork, and there's no plaque. Usually there's a plaque on this side that describes the artwork, and the artwork is usually here. Okay. I promise we'll find one. I promise these things exist. Now, I mentioned that walking tours in Washington, D.C. are generally flat. So it's just a great city to walk. This is the area, because we're close to Rock Creek and that valley and all the geological features here. This area is hilly. So be prepared if you're going for a walk here. This is another dream home of mine. There are several. So when I do become rich and famous, or how about just rich? And I, purchase one or several of these homes, I will invite you all to visit. And there's one for sale up there. There's always one for sale around here. I don't even dare. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of dollars here. So Davyverse, if you're talking about the cuts, USAID, no. Foreign missions are paid for by the countries themselves. So if a country wants to have diplomatic relations with the United States, then they pay for the embassy here, and here, if they're occupying an historic structure, they have to maintain the historic character of the building. USAID is not, it's not about diplomatic relations. I won't get into politics here, but I'm pleased with the changes that are happening right now. Let's just say that, because I believe the changes that we make, the expenses, I should say, the money that we give to foreign countries, we should take a look at that very frequently. That's all I'll say about that. So no, this is the diplomatic relations are not USAID. And we're lucky that the countries come here and want to establish missions because they pay for it. and again, they find homes in these beautiful homes. Now this, I am devastated here. Fire here. This is incredibly sad. And I'll have to look to see when this happened. Probably in the last few months. Thankfully, a stone structure. So the architectural integrity of the home seems to be intact, despite the damage to the roof and several of the floors. Wow. Go see if I can read the note. It looks like the back of the home is still intact. This is always sad. Always sad to see. Hope everyone is okay. And you can see the damage. Wow. Fire investigation in progress. Top floor completely devastated. Oof. Now across the way, how many times have I said this is my favorite home? This is my favorite home. This one here. It's up on this little hill. Very English style. Yeah, that's my favorite. One of my favorites for sure. But another look back at this one. Absolutely devastating. And a really unique design, oops, for that residence. This is Kalorama Circle, so we're traveling in a circle. Again, a real peaceful area. Just steps from Massachusetts Avenue to the south. Access to Rock Creek to the west. And we'll see additional embassies and residences as we continue to walk around this circle. Hello, Elsen. Independence Day is coming. Someone commented in Film Club yesterday, kind of disparagingly, about the film Independence Day. I love to watch Independence Day on Independence Day. It's become a family tradition. It's a fun film. If you didn't catch us on Film Club yesterday, we reviewed the film Highlander and had a really great chat about that. So I've mentioned, let me get back to the point of my conversation today. My completist journey. So we talked about DC metro stations being kind of boring, but we'll definitely take a look at that. And maybe completing a line at a time. They won't be the most interesting videos, but just me personally, I use this channel as my research log. So whatever I'm researching or doing, I'll at least make little shorts. Okay. It's 5 minutes to 8. So there's been a horn sound just now that lets you know that it's 5 minutes to 8, and at 8 o'clock, we will hear the national anthem. So at 8 o'clock, we'll stop for the national anthem because we're in an area, if you're in an area around embassies, government offices, military bases, at 8 a.m., it's the national anthem. So metro stations, and then those police call boxes. I'm gonna go back, and the fire call boxes. I'm gonna go back through all my shorts and look at some maps and see if I've found any that are not necessarily on walking tour maps, and maybe document those. And then when I get back to London, I'm gonna finish the borough signs. So each borough in London has a different sign motif, and I'm trying to collect all of those. So I think I have visited 14 or 15 of the London boroughs, and we'll do that. And I'm gonna be careful filming around here because there's another Secret Service car. So again, as I've mentioned, important person lives around the corner here, and we've gone around in a circle, and we can't go down that street, but you all can guess who lives around the corner here. And here's another one with that slate roof. This one I love. This is very cottagey. Very cottagey. That little balcony on the second floor. Stone, slate, absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, as I walk past the Secret Service agent, I will wave. Always be friendly. Always be friendly. No, not Walter White. Good morning, Pete. Good morning. Happy Sunday. So we're going around Kalorama Circle. There's extra Secret Service here today. Okay, I'll be quiet. This stream could be like put down. But on the other side of this road is, or are hiking trails down around the Rock Creek, the actual creek down there that cuts this valley into this part of Washington, D.C. and makes it quite hilly for walking. Beautiful residents here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I won't dwell too much here. These are definitely people who want some privacy, and I totally respect that. Waving to the Secret Service agent, saying thank you for their service. That's what we do. They are amazingly friendly. Exactly what you'd expect from all of our law enforcement officers. They're here to serve and protect all of us. So thank them for what they do for us. This one, you know, here on a circle, and I will cross over. So you can see entrance to the hiking trail here, Belmont Road Park, adjacent to Rock Creek. Oh, mosquito. Beautiful residents here on this corner. And as we walk around the circle, it's probably one of the super quietest neighborhoods within Washington, D.C., because there's not a through road on this circle. Well, I hope not Hindu, Kush, etc., but just in case you're going to rob my phone, I'm going to remove you. Do they ever ask what you're doing? No. In fact, the 2 or 3 times that I've talked with the agents here in this neighborhood, we've talked about architecture and we've talked about how cool these buildings are. They've actually, national anthem. I know you can't hear it, but I'm stopping. At 8 o'clock at the foreign missions, U.S. military bases, and other government facilities here in Washington, the national anthem plays. So I'm just stopping to be respectful. Gordon, what a clean street. Yeah, okay, thank you. Appreciate the heads up. Abe, you're a mod. Abe, you've got the wrench. And I appreciate it. So to your question about, do Secret Service agents ever ask me, what am I doing? No, they say, hi, how are you? And I say hi to them. We chat about architecture. They tell me the best places to get photos of areas that I can photograph, especially around the White House. They're really friendly. The United States is a very open and free country. I wish more people understood that. I actually think that people who do leave the U.S. because they think for some reason that it's free or elsewhere, I think they are in for a rude awakening for sure. This is an absolutely massive one here. Oh, I got bit by a mosquito. Ow. Yeah, Abe, you got the power now. Well, Davey, congrats, Davey. You've got the power too. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
I would never go through if I was in a car.
I would also caution while on walking tour, a couple of things to be careful of. While we're looking at these beautiful homes, electric cars can creep up behind us. So be careful when you're in the street. Also, those cyclists that just went by, they do not give an F. They'll run you down. Cyclists will run you down. Now, this is an interesting one, and I know you can't see it, but on the downspouts is the year 1934. Etched into the downspouts. That's kind of cool. This fence here, we're going to cross over because this fence here, I believe, is the fence around, yeah, it is, the residence of the ambassador from France. So we'll get a better look of that facility. Oh, I should have used the bug spray today. The mosquitoes are out today. Do a kickflip. What? What? No, they don't live in the embassy. The embassy is the workplace, the office. So now in some complexes like the British Embassy, the residence of the ambassador is right there on the complex. But for many, they're not in the same area. So the Embassy of France is off of Foxhall Road between Georgetown and like the Foxhall area. And we visited that one too. It's a huge complex. Huge. But here's where the ambassador lives. Let's see. Where can we get the best photo here? see. I'm gonna go across the street. Try not to be. This is one of those streets. It's like 4 streets that come together, so I don't really want to stand in the middle. Maybe I will. Okay, here we go. So this is the beautiful chateau type embassy residence of the ambassador from France to the United States, here on Kalorama Road, just north of Kalorama Circle. So let's take a look here. Got the hydrangeas going in the front, and this replica of the Statue of Liberty in the front, draped in the Ukrainian flag. Okay, let's see if I can get through the grates here. Ow, oh, that wasn't good. Just smashed my camera on the fence here. My 35mm camera. Hi, roadside. Hello, roadside. Very nice to meet you. We're in Washington, D.C. We're in the Kalorama area, and we're looking at architecture and embassies and residences and all kinds of cool places. Jonathan, well, thank you. So I thought Victorian was more, I didn't think Victorian had like I wouldn't call this a mansard roof, but I didn't think Victorian had the stonework around, around the elements, or that roof, or the carving around the doors, but I'll take your word for it. Well, Jonathan, I do apologize for being wrong. I don't think this is pure Victorian, though. I appreciate your insights. Definitely appreciate your insights. Now, just across the way here, this is the consular section of the Embassy of Thailand, the Royal Thai Embassy, as it's called. Now, now talk about ambassadors' residences, and we will not walk past this one today, I don't think. The residence of the Ambassador of Thailand is strange. It's big, it's gaudy. I'm not throwing shade, but you can see my short on it. It's like a boarding school. I think that would be my assumption there. Hi, Jonathan. Yeah, I read a lot of books, but thank you. Appreciate it. This one on the corner has always had the flag of Mexico. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a residence. I don't know if it's just someone who loves Mexico, but there's not a sign here that says what this building is. So I don't know how it's attached. I don't know how it's attached. I'm getting mauled by mosquitoes today. And here's a better look, but of course this gets the fence at that beautiful building, and yet another call box with no art installed. So I'm now on a mission. We've got to find one with some art, because this is very strange that we haven't found any call boxes with art. But that's okay. I absolutely love the spirited debate on architecture. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And I'm not an architect. I'm just a historian. Now, sorry, the angle of the sun right now is just the worst. Trying to get behind the trees a little bit. The next residence next door to the ambassador from France, so I hope they get along, is the residence of the ambassador from Portugal. Over here. And this one has some interesting work going on. Okay, watching for cars. We're starting to get close to the busy section of town, coming out of the quieter residential area. But here we are. This is the residence of the ambassador from Portugal up here in the Kalorama area of Washington, D.C. You can see obviously see the flag. And this little crest here, you know, kind of a pseudo crest. A little less interesting than some of the other residences. Not a lot going on in the lawn over there. But still, we're here to admire all of it. Now across the way here, and I do apologize for zigzagging, that's how we get to see everything. Daryl! Good morning, Daryl. So across the way here is Ukraine House, Cultural Center. This is not the embassy, this is the Cultural Center for the Ukraine here in Washington, D.C. And next to it, there's an embassy, and I've completely forgotten which one it is, so we're gonna have to go up to the steps. If anyone can see that flag and figure it out first, good on you. I think it begins with a B. Is it Burkina Faso? Benin? I think it's Benin. Hey, Space Nut, thank you very much for joining today. It's been great to have you. This is the Embassy of. We'll go right up the steps. I think it's Benin. Benin, yes, or Benin. This is the Embassy of Benin. Right here. Cones. Oh, Daryl, just for you. Cones. Oh my gosh, where I parked today, I don't know what is going on. I always say construction is a good sign. It means the economy is going well, but holy moly, where I parked today. Hopefully I can actually drive out of where I drove into because it was cones everywhere. No, Daryl, shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. So here we're coming back up to the busy section. That residence up there, that apartment building, we'll do a whole video on that thing with the Spanish influenced terracotta tile work. And here we're on the back side here of the Embassy of the Democratic Republic of Algeria. There's an entrance on the other side as well. So this is Algeria. Good morning. Ooh, this one's done. This was under reconstruction not too long ago, and I like what they've done with it. Good morning. So this underwent some much needed renovation, and now new luxury 1 and 2 bedroom condominiums here. The Windsor. Really great job. If you could have seen it previously, it was a mess. So we're really happy to see that. I had 5 brand new cones and someone stole them. Well, it's because you're encouraging that behavior, Daryl. So don't encourage it. We're coming up here to one of the main arteries of Northwest Washington, D.C. This is Connecticut Avenue. And as we head back south, we'll be heading down to the DuPont Circle area that we've been to many times. We've visited many times. Today is Farmers Market Day. Great day to visit DuPont Circle. Grab some produce, get some juice, and enjoy this beautiful day. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful day. I'm incredibly disappointed that we haven't seen any artwork in any of the call boxes. And I know for sure that some of the call boxes we walked past definitely had artwork in it previously, so I don't know what's going on there. This magnificent structure here, these apartments and condos are just beautiful. But we'll take a look at this one across the way. That's a good one to behold, for sure. This is Connecticut Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. And if you live here, congratulations. You're in a beautiful place. There's so much to look at in this building. We certainly can't look at today, but even kind of going up to the roof there, there's a statue. I think it's Atlas holding the world up there at the top. There are so many interesting elements on that building. We could spend a lifetime looking at every one of these beautiful buildings in this area. So again, I encourage anyone who visits Washington, don't miss the monuments and the memorials. They are wonderful, especially if it's your first time here. But if you can make a day to come and tour the more off the beaten path areas, the residential areas, this area of Northwest, especially if you're interested in history. You don't even have to be interested in architecture. If you're just interested in art and beauty, flowers, gardens, flags, you'll see all of that in this area of Washington, D.C. It's tremendous. All right, I see another call box. We're on a mission now. We've got to find at least one. When I make some longer form videos, longer than shorts, maybe I'll put a little walking tour together for these call boxes. Now there's nothing on the back. Again, it looks like the placard's been removed from the back. Yay, we've got art. Okay. So we just have doorways. So we have artwork here. So this is on the corner of Wyoming and Connecticut, Wyoming Avenue and Connecticut Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. And we do have artwork here. Lovely. There's one. We'll work our way back down this street. Hi, Jason. Very nice to meet you. When there's a sunny day, I'm out walking, and I'm often walking in Washington, D.C. or Baltimore or Philadelphia. Soon, Boston. This fall, I'll be up in Boston. I'm a researcher and a historian and a genealogist, and I struggle with maintaining my research logs. I'm kind of a frantic researcher. So I began making YouTube shorts and videos to track my research. So that's what this is. So as I'm walking along, you're walking along with me. And I'm glad you're here. Well, this is a beautiful one. It's a cute small one here behind the gate. And then there are a few more missions here. This is the Embassy of North Macedonia. So we're gonna zigzag across this little street. Tends to get surprisingly busy. And in this area, there are a lot of folks with electric cars. So I will be extraordinarily careful here. But this at 2129 Wyoming Avenue is the Embassy of North Macedonia. Let's see if we can get the flag in the shot. There we go. Obviously a modern structure, modern-ish structure compared to some of the other ones we've looked at today. Abe, you told me yesterday you look out the window and that's your exploration, so I'm all for it. A little bit of sunshine is good, even if it's through the window. And then across here, this is part of the embassy or foreign mission of Argentina. This may be the residence, but I'm not sure. Argentina is another one of the countries that has many, many facilities scattered throughout Washington, D.C. It surprises me. Argentina, Brazil, Mexico seem to have many, many small facilities throughout the city. Brazil has a bunch. Like, you can't turn around the corner without seeing a Brazilian facility. Now, we were walking north of here and we saw what I'll call the back entrance of the Embassy of Algeria. This is the main, I think, could be wrong, back front. This is the other side of the Embassy of Algeria. And you can see this is a more modern structure. And there's the flag, for sure. A little bit of a breeze today would make for much better views of these flags and would also deal with these mosquitoes today. Good morning. Maybe deal with the mosquitoes today. Now, I was here once on a nice windy day and caught this flag, the flag of Bermuda. I think it's Bermuda. Yep, Embassy. No, Barbados. Sorry, Barbados. I do apologize. I knew it began with a B. The Embassy of Barbados. Oops. Oh, Galadorn, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry you can't go for walks where you are now. I hope you find a place to do some walking, even if it's not in your neighborhood. But that's a good flag. I love that color. The blue and gold. Those are smashing. And here, now this one has this awesome crest above the door. I'm not sure if it's oh, it is. Is it? Okay, so there's a flagpole, but there's no flag. And there's a crest above the door, and I don't think anyone lives here, so we're gonna walk up here. I mean, if this were a residence, I most certainly wouldn't do this. But I can see through the door, there's like construction here. So if I'm looking at this motif above the door, the lion with the sword, and I would probably guess wrong. But I would guess, I mean, would this be like Burma or Indonesia? I don't know, so I don't want to guess incorrectly. But this is obviously a former facility that looks abandoned and has an open window, so okay. Flagpole is not suited. Doesn't have a flag. Okay, steepy steps. Steep steps, steep steps. Apartment residence here. Beautiful. There's an area in Columbia, Tennessee with a bunch of Civil War era buildings that reminds me of this. Yeah, those mid to late 19th century influences here. I mean, that's what's great about this area. They're not all cookie cutter. Every residence and building is different. And I'm all about the variety. Now, before I focus back over there, here's another example of those black window frames that I've been noticing more and more. And I think it's really classy. I think that's incredibly classy. Look, you have a rather, I won't say plain, but you know, a simple row home here, more ornamentation next door. Painted brick, if done well, is great. Here we have the Embassy of, or the Residence of. I'm not sure. Don't know the flag. I hate guessing because when I'm wrong, I don't mean to offend people. I mean, is that Sudan? I tend to set people off when I guess wrong. But this is obviously an ambassadorial residence. And I don't know which country is represented. But just in this, you know, row of row homes here. Painted brick, exposed brick, shutters, beautiful ornamentation. Well done. Well done. And another look back at this residence. Not sure. Not sure what it is. Beautiful gardens. And again, just a stone's throw away from all the hustle and bustle in Washington, D.C. Architecture is art we live in, and art is quite often a representation of the people who make it. So that's, hey, Pete, I'm gonna borrow that quote. That's fantastic. I will give you credit and attribution, of course, but that is fantastic. I heard another great quote this morning from a website called RHR Jen, who does like royal stuff. And she said she had found a quote, so I don't know the exact attribution, that discipline is what keeps us going when motivation fails. And I love that. I absolutely agree and love that. And I love your quote, Pete. I'm not a person who ever sought out art, didn't study it in school, probably didn't appreciate it, just took it for granted. And it's one of those things as I get older, I'm trying to be purposeful about learning. And since I've always been interested in history and architecture, adding art and even classical or even historic music to my studies has been a definite blessing. I'm trying not to be so narrow in what I study. Hi, Mohammed. Hello. We're coming to the corner here of, I don't remember which street this is. This is the Polish Defense Ministry building. Here, you can see the beautiful Polish flag. We are at the corner of Wyoming and 23rd Street. So we've made quite a trek today because we've taken advantage of the beautiful weather today. A couple of apologies. I actually intended to be more structured in this video and make it more of a podcast, kind of talking about my research plan, but I didn't. I got distracted by all these beautiful buildings and your wonderful comments. So I'm going to try to be more focused in future. This is the residence of the ambassador from, hang on, I'm going to find it. This one's magnificent. And I've been past this one before. Oh, let's see, we can see the flag. All right, we're going to cross over. We're going to find out which one this is, and then we're going to end the stream right here. And yet again, another call box without artwork. I wonder if, here's what I'm thinking. They all look freshly painted, don't they? I wonder if there's not this isn't the time of year or a periodic refresh, because they all do look freshly painted. So that might be why the artwork is missing. So we'll say it's that. I'll do a little research. I don't think it's Zambia, I don't think it's Zambia. There's no sign. Okay, I know that this is an ambassador's residence because I've met the ambassador. Because he was out here doing a photo shoot while I was walking one day last year. And he was having a photo shoot. And I just walked right up and introduced myself and said hello. And he was incredibly gracious. And I just asked him how he enjoyed living in this beautiful home. And he told me he absolutely loved living in this beautiful home. So we're gonna stop the stream here. It's another good reminder. If you're out researching, and we talk about being polite and respectful, but also feel free to say hi. My dad and I were investigating a farm that his ancestors used to own hundreds of years ago. And we went to the site and there was a farmhouse there. And he said, let's do it. And he got out and knocked on the door. I didn't get out of the car because there were huge dogs in the yard. He doesn't mind the dogs, I do. He walked on the door. The people in the home welcomed us in, took us on a tour, and actually gave us some items, some artifacts dating back to when our ancestors owned that farm. So it's another great reminder to get out and chat with people and make connections while you're out there researching. Pardon the noise. Someone's moving in. There's a huge moving truck going down the street. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Yes, Daryl, and don't steal cones. That's our other lesson for today. I want to thank everyone for joining me today on such a glorious day. Thank you for all of your chat. Abe and Davyverse, thank you for joining my little contingent of mods here and for all your work. I hope everyone has a beautiful rest of your weekend. Get out there. Let me know what you find when you're out there walking. Let me know what you find when you're out there researching. Have a wonderful week. Take care.